Hey guys, today we're going to make a two-color jawbone type paracord bracelet. Instead of the standard cobra braid paracord bracelet, we're going to do the jawbone stitch or jawbone braid today. In this case, for the example, I used orange and white with a black buckle. In the demonstration, I'm going to use electric purple and fluorescent pink with a translucent purple buckle. The first step is to get your paracord set up. We're using about 60 inches, roughly 5 feet of each color. 5 feet of each color will give you up to about an 8 or 8.5 inch paracord bracelet. Once you've got your paracord cut and the ends singed up, you want to join the two colors together. I have a video posted on how to do both of those steps. Once you've got your paracord ready to go, we're going to braid it onto the buckle, and I'll show you how to do that. I've found the easiest way to thread the buckle is to take one of the center strands out of the paracord. You basically take a scrap piece of paracord, pick one of the ends, and just pull it right out of the center. And then we can use that to thread the buckle. We're going to place that through the center of the buckle. We're going to thread the end of our paracord through it. And then we just use that string to pull that cord right through the center, like so. Once you've got that set, we're going to pull that down to the center of the paracord. Right where our joint is at. And we want to make sure that we leave roughly an inch or so hanging below the buckle so that our splice is actually going to get weaved into the bracelet. Once you've got that threaded, you pass your two ends through the loop. And tighten that up. And that's what you would wind up with. Now I prefer to have the loop come from the top to the bottom and have the loop showing on the top. I think it's just a cleaner look. It gives you a sort of a more finished appearance. Now that you've got the top half of the buckle threaded, I'm going to thread the bottom half. In this case, I'm going to come from the top through the top into the bottom and just work those right through there. If your paracord is a little thick or stubborn, sometimes it helps to heat it just a little bit and pinch the end flat with a pair of needle nose. Once you've got that threaded on, you pull it down and set the size for your bracelet. Now once you've got your buckles braided on, you're ready to start your project. I'm going to cheat today. I'm going to use a little jig that I made to sort of hold everything in place while I tie it up. But if you don't have the jig, it's just as easy to do by hand. In this case, I just like to do it. It makes it easier to make the video. So I'm going to clip that into my jig. Everything's held in place, and I'm ready to start my knotting. Now something you want to make sure of is make sure that your two strands are parallel and not twisted over in the center. Now's where we have to decide which color we want on the inside and which color we want on the outside for our bracelet. In this case, I want the neon pink to be the inside color where white is on the example, and I want the purple to be on the outside where the orange is in the example. You can have whichever color inside or out that you want, but that determines which side you start with. In this case, since I want the pink on the inside, I'm going to take the pink paracord and I'm going to pass it over the first pink and under the purple. And I'm going to keep a loop down there. I'm going to pull everything through, so this is what you should have when you start. Now I'm going to take the purple. It's going to run over the top of the pink here. We're going to pass it under the pink here and pull that through. So this is what you have to start with. Okay? Now I'm going to take the end of that purple and I'm going to pass it through that loop that I left in the pink. I'm going to pull that tight, and that's our first stitch. Now I'm going to repeat the process again with the pink on the outside, under. I'm going to leave that loop. I'm going to take the purple and pass under and through that loop. And again, we just pull it tight. And that's the start of your jawbone. We just keep repeating that process until we get to the end. I'm going to put you on hold and finish some of this up. Now you'll notice after you get a few knots in there, your color pattern is going to start to develop and the shape of your knot is going to start to develop. Just keep going until you get down to the end of the second buckle. As I'm tying, I just push the knot up, pull it tight, push it up, and go on to the next knot. How tight you tie the knot determines how firm your paracord bracelet will be. In this case, I'm leaving it fairly loose. That'll give me a fairly soft and supple bracelet. On my example, it's fairly tight. I put a lot of tension into those knots and tied them pretty tight, so I've got a pretty firm paracord bracelet. But in the pink and purple today, I'm tying it fairly loose, so it'll be a supple, softer knot. Alright guys, it's taken me about 10 minutes to get down to this point. You can see I'm down to the last little bit of the bracelet. This is where it becomes a little more difficult to get your knot through. I think I can squeeze a couple more without any help in there. Well, one more maybe. And we'll just kind of push that through. A lot of people like to use threading needles. They call them fids, paracord fids for this part. Now I'm not going to be able to get that through there. What I do is use needle nose pliers. I'll take that off of my jig and I'll put my needle nose pliers up through from the bottom to the top, right through that hole in the bottom. Push it right through the hole, and I'll grab the end of my cord and just pull it right through and finish my knot off. And I actually think I can get one more knot in there. You can see there's still a little bit of light showing through that hole. So I think I can get one more knot in there. So I'm going to use my needle nose again. Right up from the bottom. I'm going to pinch the end of my pink paracord and pull that right through, making sure I leave a loop. And I'm going to repeat the process for the purple to get that purple through there. I'm going to pinch the end of my purple in there, pull the purple through, and finish off my knot right into that pink loop. And you'll see that that takes it right down to the end of my paracord bracelet. That's about all I'm going to be able to get through there. So now I'm going to pull everything nice and tight, cinch it all up, and now I'm ready to finish off the ends. Now to finish off the ends, you use the same process as every other paracord bracelet. You basically just clip it. I use a pair of wire clippers. You can use a knife or you can use scissors if that's what you prefer, but I clip it off fairly close on both of those ends. I heat it with my lighter, melt the end, and then I use the lighter to just press it down. You want to make sure the one that's on the inside, because that's where it's going to be touching your wrist, you want to make sure that that's nice and smooth. So you just cut it, singe it, and push it down. And the same thing with the one that comes out here. You cut it, heat it up, and then just push it down. And then you've got a completed bracelet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with this one. I'm going to just make sure those knots are good and tight. And once they're good and tight, let me take this off the jig so that I have a little easier access. I'm going to pull it really tight. And once I've got it tightened up, I'm just going to take my wire cutters. I'm going to clip that off. And I'm going to take that little bit of paracord and I'm going to fray it up with my finger so that when I melt it, it makes a fairly large chunk of melted paracord. And once you've got it soft, you just take your lighter and press it down, and that gives you a good finished end for the paracord. That's not going to slip back through that hole. Now we're going to repeat the process for the purple. Clip it off. Fray it up just a little bit, and then melt that one down. And there we've got finished ends, and that's our Jawbone Paracord Bracelet.